All right. Anyway, so this is my first live stream using the new software. So I pretty much have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm sure over time we're going to figure it out. So, wanted to give a few updates from coming back from Florida and everything else that's been going on. But most importantly, I think I want to talk about what I'm giving up for Lent. So, primarily, I think over the years I've stayed extremely politically neutral. I have not really swayed either way. I've accepted everyone to come as they are, and that's great because when it comes to military justice reform or even other views on the Embark podcast, like I'm accepting to everybody. I want everybody to tell their story. I want to learn everybody's background. I want to come up with real solutions to real problems because I think that's one of the biggest things is that's not effectuating change within our military and all the other advocacy work I do is that we don't have enough people that are actually speaking upon doing things that are really going to change things to make a difference. So you have to understand something, and I posted a video about this the other day, is that I extensively have gone through the entire administrative process with this stuff in the Air Force Academy, especially with the Obama administration, the Trump administration, the Biden administration, and everything else in between. All right, it's been 14 years, and the Department of Justice intentionally hid information under the Biden administration. They intentionally lied, and they did not do things correctly because they were lying the entire time because they were so focused on taking down the Trump administration or whatever other effectual politics were going on at the time. And I normally try to stay out of it, even though I got a letter from the White House, a letter from the SecDef, all these things trying to enamor about what's going on, but it wasn't really effective, right? So they got their chance, but it wasn't working. So, yes, obviously, I'm more of a conservative person, especially going back to my faith as being a Catholic, and that's important to me. And I think what I'm definitely going to be giving up for Lent is being a coward on my own convictions in order to appease other people because it's gotten me nowhere. Whether it's playing nice to people or constantly accommodating to everyone's needs or wants and desires, at the end of the day, it's only sacrificing the mission I'm trying to accomplish, whether that's resolving my case or actually resolving these issues of military sexual assault and reform for mental health issues across the board, right? Because at the end of the day, what's changed? Absolutely fucking nothing. Nothing. Even with the Vanessa Guillen Act, the Brandon Caserta Act, and everything else, nothing has changed. There's a lot of talking points. There's a lot of people who, when they get on the Hill, they want to go testify. They want to try to get these bills pushed, but they cower down to the powers that be within Congress. And one of the biggest issues that I saw over these past 10 years of people trying to get these bills passed is they just want to benefit themselves. And they're not affecting actual change. Vanessa Guillen was raped, murdered, chopped up, burned, and left in wet cement at a riverbank. And the best thing that we saw was getting a name gate changed to the front of one of the bases. And they said, oh, we're taking power out of the hands of the commanders. And this is how we're going to change things. And we're going to beef up our SARC program or Sabre program. Well, at the end of the day, you know what happened? Nothing. Because those programs are still run by the DoD. They're still controlled internally with restricted reporting and unrestricted reporting. And then you see these giant scandals at the Coast Guard Academy, Operation Fouled Anchor, where they intentionally hid information and they intentionally tried to cover up all of the assaults of these women and everything else. And then what happened? Nothing. And then we see even the COVID-19 vaccine and all these people coming out with petitions and sign this and go to this website and support this. But nothing's changing. So that's the issue is that these advocacy people, it's a joke to them. They get a little bit of street cred. They finally get their name around. They sell a book. They sell you a T-shirt. They sell you a sticker. They get some half-ass legislation passed because there's a lot of concessions when it comes to that because the powers that be and the members in Congress that you decided to work with don't want to make actual change that's going to really harm them and make them look bad. So they make all these concessions in order to just somewhat give you what you want, give you a little bit of notoriety, give you 30 seconds of fame, and then you walk away. At the end of the day, the entire UCMJ needs to be completely abolished or reformed. Military commanders need to go to prison. People need to go to jail. I mean, even at the Air Force Academy, there's not enough people actually going to jail. And unfortunately, there's also a lot of witch hunts going on. I've seen plenty of cases, even in the past few years, where women were making false accusations against men to ruin their careers, ruin their chances of being pilots and everything else. And then what? Now you're making people mistrust the system even more. Okay? That's not all the time, but it does happen. And it's even happened this year. I've also had people, they want to come on the podcast or they want to talk or they want to say things and they want me to hide their identity. And I understand that you want to hide your identity and you want to be anonymous and put everything on me, right? And that's fine. I mean, I get taken down all the time by the Air Force Academy. They've said some pretty horrible things about me over the years. And you want to know what? You can't prove any of it. None of it ever happened because my entire background check is posted on my website. I also wouldn't be in the military working intelligence and everything else if everything that the Air Force Academy or these other people try to say about me were true. But that's what they do. It's character defamation. So once again, not being a coward to my convictions, sticking by who I am as a person, what I've done for over the past 14 years for free. Keep in mind, I make no money off these things. I have never made a dime off things. I think I sold some patches and stickers at one point, but even then, like, I didn't make any money off that. It covered some of the shipping costs. And at the end of the day, I gave most of them away for free to cadets at the academy, and I mailed them out for free to people after a while, right? That's what's important to me, is actually making change and effectuating these things over time. I don't see any grads in the Air Force community, West Point, Annapolis, Coast Guard doing any of that, right? They want to talk about their leadership program or their skill bridge crap or whatever else that's going on. And at the end of the day, most of the people, especially people in my class, who I understand because they're in positions of power now as lieutenant colonels, they don't want to come on the podcast. They don't want to say these things because they don't want what happened to me to happen to them. And I completely understand that. But at the end of the day, when are people going to have the courage to command and speak up against the system? If we keep perpetuating this system, it's going to continue to stay broken. So I don't know what to tell you when, at the end of the day, we're going to keep having men and women in the military getting murdered, mental health records getting falsified, and political grandstanding with the military and leaders. And at the end of the day, no one's being held accountable. Not a single general officer has gone to jail. They're being relieved of command. They're being moved around. They're allowed to retire with full benefits. But that's not helping anyone. Also, signing a bunch of petitions with a bunch of names on it, it's still not doing anything. It's not actually changing anything. So one thing I'm going to put out there is get involved in the actual process, right? Whether that's with me or anyone else or your own group, I don't care. But unless you're actually going to Congress and you're actually making bills and you're actually proposing change and you're actually doing those things and testifying and speaking and going on podcasts and going on the news or whatever else in order to bring attention to these factors so the American public is aware of the criminals that we have serving in the military and how we're going to change it, you're not fucking helping anyone. You're not doing a goddamn thing. You're wasting everybody's fucking time. And I know that sounds really harsh. And I know that sounds really rough. But I had a person come at me today. This is what inspired me doing this podcast or this little live stream or whatever this is intentionally, because someone came out and attacked me and said, I can't believe that you say that these women groups don't do anything. And I sat there and went, well, what have you done? Well, we wrote letters and we went on to testify in front of Congress. I'm like, okay. And then what? Yeah, but like I've been doing this. And then what? You made a website, you made a handle, you sold some t-shirts, you brought some attention or advocacy to something. At the end of the day, it didn't do anything. So don't come at me when I'm going down to possibly more political candidates in the future. And I'm going down to actually speak to staffers and people that have the effectual change of making new policies in the future, right? To actually get policy change and actually make progression in these systems. And you're not fucking doing that. All you do is get up on your Twitter or your Instagram or your Facebook or your LinkedIn. God forbid these LinkedIn people are the worst. And just talk about, well, we wrote a letter and we have a bunch of signatures and we have all this stuff. It doesn't change anything. And it hasn't changed anything. You haven't done a fucking thing. Okay? So at the end of the day, do the right thing, stand up for what you believe in, and actually go down there and do something. You're going to have to go to DC. You're going to have to write letters. And when they don't respond to you and they ignore you, you're going to have to go after them. And you're going to have to keep being the squeaky wheel that gets the oil, right? At the end of the day, you have to be the one that's going to make that change. And it's going to suck, and it's going to cost you a lot of money, and you're going to get nothing out of it except you're going to be tired, you're going to be miserable. People are going to come after you all over the internet. I mean, they've been doing that to me for over a decade now, right? So But I'm focused on making these changes. And like I said, I'm still working my regular civilian job. I'm still working my time in the army. I still have to take care of my dog, which is constantly annoying me here. She sits here right now, right? Because I'm always talking to people on these podcasts or talking to people on interviews or on the news or helping other advocates or people who need help with these things. And I do that all for free. I don't charge anybody anything. And at the end, I think actually a company came out and mailed me a bunch of sweatshirts and hats, which was kind of cool. I might be doing some giveaways for that in the future. Because some people actually care. So at the end of the day, like, what am I giving up for Lent? I'm giving up being a coward to my own convictions. No, I don't believe in some certain political ideologies that are against what I believe in. Get the fuck over it. And no, if you're not out there making actual change and you're not actually doing anything about it, I'm going to call you out on it. Either you are spreading the message and you're getting support and you're getting legislation passed that's actually going to put people in prison to change these laws, change the UCMJ, or you're not helping anybody. Getting another gate name change for Vanessa Guillen is not going to help anybody. All right. Selling more t-shirts and stickers and whatever else is not going to help anybody. So at the end of the day, be a good person, do the right thing, and stay safe out there. And we'll see you next time when I decide to do another one of these live streams.